Well, good afternoon, folks. This is Bear's Best Hunting. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Welcome to my bee yard here in southeast Louisiana. It is a really pretty day. Hadn't been super cold. Was only in the upper 30s, low 40s this morning, but we're now sitting at 60. This is about as high as it's going to get. So I had a thought about the NUCs that I inspected last week in the video that I put out today, actually, and to do with feeding. We got more cold temperatures coming in this week again, so we're up and down, and that's that cold blast that everybody's getting up north. I've heard and seen many of you guys, heard from many of you and seen many of you in videos, and seen the amount of snow you guys are getting, and that same blast is going to hit down here. Now, we were actually forecasted to get 1 to 3 inches of snow, but that is now went away. We're going to get rain. It looks like. I don't think we're going to drop as cold as we were. Initially, we were forecasted to drop into the teens next week, but it doesn't appear that way. But we're still going to be freezing and up and down. So here are my thoughts on feeding that little NUC. I don't want to feed it sugar water right now, just because it's so small. I was only going to put one hole in the lid and just let it kind of drip real easily and let them suck it out real easily. But if it starts getting cold and it clusters and I got heat fluctuations back and forth, even though I cover the jar with another box so the sun doesn't get it, I don't want to take a chance of dropping any moisture. And I'm really not a proponent of putting moisture into a hive, extra moisture. So what I'm going to do is, I got some hives out there that are super heavy. As much as I hate to crack hives in the wintertime because I just don't like opening my bees in the winter, I'm going to go ahead and grab one of those super heavy hives and get a whole frame of honey out of it and put it in that NUC. Now, that's not going to do a lot for them when they're in their cluster, but there is some honey spread on those frames, so they should be fine with that. But when it warms back up into the 50s and 60s, even the mid 40s, they'll move around and they'll get to that frame if they need to. I'm going to put it on the outside, but it'll be okay, and I'll feel better about that than sticking the jar on there right now. So there we go. That's what I'm going to do. Going to get in that today and just really, hopefully, be really quick. Again, I don't like opening them this early, but shoot, guys, we're 2 weeks away from opening and identifying splits. And I'll probably reverse boxes late this year on some of the hives as I see them. Because like I said earlier videos, I wanted to slow them down. I didn't want them starting to move on up and filling both boxes too quickly. But in a couple weeks, being now that it's it's February 7th, by the time I go in them in 2 weeks, I will want them to go ahead and start filling up top boxes, because then we'll be identifying splits, and we'll be looking to split by mid-March. First or second week in March around here is when to try to split. I'm going to try and open one, go see which one's really heavy, grab a frame, and move it on. Now, I have some honey frames in my freezer, but that would mean I have to thaw them, and I don't have the daylight left to thaw them out, and I want to get this done before the work week starts. All right, guys, got somebody texting me. I wonder if that's you, ECP. Let me take a look. I just texted him back, so I'm sure he's responding. And I'm terrible about answering texts, so let me get with him real quick before I suit up. All right, guys, so the first thing we need to do is go out here and let's go identify a hive that has got a lot of stores. I've got an idea of a few. Man, the bees are flying, and it is wet. We've had a lot of rain the past few days. We finally dried up, but last few days we've had a ton of rain, so it's wet and sloppy. Look at the bees. See the water, but check out the bees. They're getting after it. Everybody's active. So this is what hurt you. This is what hurt you. As good as it looks, with a lot of cold weather coming in and not a lot of nectar out there, where next to no nectar, these bees flying like this, man, she'll begin to lay them eggs, and they'll begin to brood up, and boy, oh boy, they'll go through some stores really fast. So very, very critical time, at least here in the South, when this happens. I'm actually going to go down to the other stand so I don't have to take the frame too far in case I just want to swap them. That's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to swap them real quick. I didn't bring my new cover cloth because I'm literally going to swap one frame and be done. But first I got to traverse all this water. Alright, let's go over here and see what we got for heavy hives. Man, they are bringing in a lot of pollen. A lot of pollen. This hive is really heavy on top. Everything's moved into the top, so it feels like the bottom is empty. I'm going to try a different one. No, that hive. No, this one is top heavy as well. I know there's one around here that's really, really heavy all the way through and through. Just got to figure out which one. Might be on the other stand. I don't know. Got one around my head. You know what? This one's nice and heavy, and I'm gonna pull from this one right here. All right, so this is my first look into any hives that are large ones. Look at the pollen coming in. My goodness. But who knows what to expect? Putting a lot of smoke on them. I just really don't want any trouble today. Beetles, beetles everywhere. You can see they're still kind of clustered right here. Yeah, so the beetles, they survive in the winter in the hive. No different than mites. They'll survive in the cluster. And the winters, if they're real brutal, can kill any of the beetles that are not in the cluster, but it definitely will kill any of the larvae, or beetle maggots as people call them. But yeah, they're tightly clustered. But anything outside the hive, any of those beetles, they'll definitely die in this. Problem is the ones that stay in the hive. So we're going to be dealing with beetles again this year, but we're going to ground drench and everything. Yeah, they're not happy about me being in here, but all we want is one frame of honey. All right, nice frame of honey. A couple beetles, we'll get them off. I'm gonna shake this onto a hive top hive cover and kill these beetles, and I'll be right back. So we got a frame of honey, and it's getting late in the day, so we shouldn't have no issues with robbing. Let's see what was this other one. Look, I didn't pull this one because I think it's only half a frame. Well, it's honey. It's enough. So what I'm gonna do, I'm put that to the inside, and then I'm going to put an empty frame right here. And put this beetle trap right here. I'm actually going to separate this a bit. Alright, let me get another frame from the other hive. We'll put the lid on for right now. And we're going to go give this nuk some stores. And of course the bees in the shade, they're not doing much of nothing compared to the ones not in the shade. Look at the yellow pollen, a little light yellow. There was some bright yellow. That was green pollen. There's some more light yellow. Alright, so we've already had this one. This one was already prepared with the feeder bottle hole, but we're not going to deal with that today, so this will just make it easier, and this is better for them. Okay, so we're going to give them this frame of honey. This was the one that had so many beetles in it. I see 3 on top now. Beetles that you see, and you know what? I'm seeing them now, so. And look, they are all over this frame. As much as I'd like to not have them in the hive, I can't keep from shaking them in there. so I'm going to end up having to shake them in because I need to keep my bees. It's a NUC after all. So we're going to put this big old frame of honey in there, and boom, problem solved. The problem that's not solved is these darn beetles. So what I'm going to do actually is probably shake these in front of the hive so I can kill the beetles. There they are. Now I can just get these off of here. Now I can just take these and shake them on a lid. Look at them all. And they're going on up, some of them. Some of them are still trying to guard those beetles. They'll go to the end trying to guard them. So, because I'm going to put this back in the other hive. Notice it's just got a little bit of honey, so that should help them out quite a bit. Now that I killed the beetles, I can shake these on in the hive. A couple beetles made it to the bottom, but we got them. See the bees still trying to go after and still trying to protect their hive. We didn't get a bunch of beetles back in there. That's good. So, guys, that hive is fed. We're just buying time, folks. Buying time. Ventilation. Let's get the bottle back on there. Now then, back to the donor hive. This lid is warped. Let's put this back in. That'll give them enough to deal with. All right. You can see they're still not very active. They're still guarding that brood in there. You know there's brood in there. They're clustering around that brood, keeping it warm. So don't want to keep it open that long. Not because they can't recover, just, hey man, let's do them a favor. Need to put one of them heavy bricks on here. This thing's warped really bad. Good ventilation, I guess, but not a good spot when that north wind blows in this way. All right, guys, well, that was pretty easy. Only took a couple minutes. I'm gonna go back out with a big old brick and put on top of that, see if I can get that wood to push itself down. It's got a warp. I told a viewer in one of my early videos, they asked me about that, how to cut the right way with the grain. I'm not a woodworker, but I know if you can cut the right way with the grain, you'll get less warp. I didn't take my own advice on that one. But it is fulfilling to be out here watching every single hive flying and bringing pollen in. And I know the 4 at the pond were good, and the 2 next door are doing the same. So real fulfilling to see that. I mean, it's not that we're out of the woods yet, because we're not. We have to be sure we don't starve them, but most of those hives are so darn heavy. And the bees, again, they'll use a lot of stores at this point in time once they get warm days and she's laying eggs. But man, it's fulfilling to see them all flying. So now, if anything happens, it's all my fault. So that makes it even more nerve-wracking, because it could be my fault. But I'm happy with that. And they were a little fussy, but wouldn't you be if I just opened them up and broke the top of their little cluster? So while they were flying, you know, there's still a cluster in there that's, you know, we're still sitting at 59, 60 degrees, and it's dropping, and they're still guarding that comb, because even though they'll fly at 50 and 60 degrees, it can still be cool in there on that brood. So they're guarding that brood. They're still clustered up around the main nest, and that cluster looked good. It wasn't enormous, but my bees usually aren't enormous at this time of year because I don't feed them up that much, and I don't feed them going into the spring, so until later, if I do. So I don't have enormous nests, but I had good, healthy, thick nests in that hive. That was a good nest, and the NUCs, you know, were good looking nests. So very pleased with that. It's always a good feeling, and that's how I had it last year. I remember coming through, and it was a good feeling to see everybody flying. So Now it's just on me to make sure I don't let them starve. And right now everybody's heavy, as I said. We got a frame of honey in that, and it doesn't look like a lot, but that's, you know, that right there is oh, what, 5 pounds of honey, you know. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing for that small nuke. It's not a huge nuke, and there's still honey on each and every frame on the tops. So they should be fine. Again, we'll keep an eye on them. Oh, there goes my text again. And we'll keep an eye on them and see what's going on. And hopefully we'll come on through the next 2 weeks and we'll be opening some hives, folks, and looking at splits and what we're going to do, and lining up queens and just doing all that good stuff. It's here. It is here. It seems like winter flew by. It really seems like winter flew right by. But hey, that's beekeeping. And we'll be excited to get back in them, and by August we'll be so tired and ready to get out of them. Isn't that human nature? Isn't that what we do? Well, we'll see. Alright guys, I appreciate everybody joining me. Don't forget, if you like the video, to give it a thumbs up. That really does help this channel get out to those that are searching for bee videos. I appreciate all y'all coming along and sticking with me. I guess this is turning into another series in a season, but I hope we'll do some new things. Who knows? But it won't be document every single little thing. But look, if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love it if you did. Doesn't cost you anything. And don't forget to share this video with your friends, your family, anybody that just enjoys watching bees. You guys have a wonderful evening. May Lord God bless you and keep you. See you later.